Every murder leaves behind questions. Some leave behind controversy. But only a handful completely change the way an entire country looks at policing. This is one of those cases. December 2025 was supposed to be another ordinary week for 18-year-old Henry Nowak. Originally from Poland, Henry had moved to the United Kingdom with dreams shared by thousands of young people every year. He had earned a place at the University of Southampton, where he was studying accounting and finance. Friends described him as intelligent, respectful, and hardworking. He enjoyed football. He enjoyed spending time with friends. Like many first-year students, he was beginning to build an independent life away from home. His parents were proud. His future appeared bright. No one imagined that within minutes, everything would change forever. On the evening of December 3, 2025, Henry spent time with friends enjoying the end of another university week. Later that night, he began walking home through the quiet residential streets of Southampton. The journey wasn't long. It was familiar. He had no reason to believe he was in danger. But somewhere along Belmont Road, Henry crossed paths with 23-year-old Vickrum Singh Digwa. Investigators later established that the two men had never met before. It wasn't an ongoing feud. Exactly what was said between the two men lasted only moments. Evidence presented during the trial showed there was a brief verbal exchange before violence erupted. Witnesses would later describe hearing shouting. Then came screams. Digwa produced a large knife. Within seconds, he launched a violent attack. Henry suffered multiple stab wounds. Some struck his torso. Others struck his legs. The injuries were catastrophic. Even after the attack ended, Henry remained conscious for a short time. He desperately called for help. Nearby residents heard him shouting that he had been stabbed. Emergency services were immediately contacted. People rushed outside hoping they could help. None of them realized they were witnessing the final moments of an 18-year-old university student's life. Most killers flee. Some remain silent. According to prosecutors, Digwa chose a different path. Instead of admitting what had happened, he immediately began constructing a completely different version of events. He claimed Henry had been the aggressor. He falsely accused the dying teenager of making racist remarks. Those allegations would later be completely rejected during the murder trial. But in those first critical minutes, confusion surrounded the scene. The false accusations influenced the initial understanding of responding officers. He struggled to breathe. The images spread across Britain. Public reaction was immediate. Police later stated officers had acted on the information available at the time, while separate misconduct investigations were launched into the response. Forensic officers examined the crime scene. Blood patterns were documented. Witnesses were interviewed. CCTV footage from nearby homes and businesses was collected. Detectives recovered Henry's mobile phone data. Medical evidence documented the severity of the stab wounds. Every new piece of evidence pointed in one direction. Henry Nowak had not attacked anyone. He was the victim. And someone had deliberately tried to convince police otherwise. As forensic specialists continued examining the evidence, detectives became increasingly confident that the version of events presented by Vickrum Singh Digwa simply did not match the facts. Witness accounts placed Henry as the victim rather than the aggressor. Digital evidence, CCTV footage, and the positions of those involved helped investigators reconstruct the final minutes leading to the fatal stabbing. Instead of immediately accepting responsibility, the investigation revealed efforts to distance the offender from the murder weapon and to support the false account initially given to police. Those discoveries would become a significant part of the prosecution's case. As investigators gathered more evidence, it became increasingly clear that this was not a case of self-defense. Months of painstaking police work eventually resulted in murder charges being brought before the court. The criminal proceedings that followed attracted national attention, not only because of the murder itself, but also because of the extraordinary controversy surrounding the police response during Henry's final moments. Jurors were shown CCTV footage, forensic exhibits, and evidence documenting the events before, during, and after the fatal attack. The prosecution argued that Henry Nowak had been unlawfully attacked and repeatedly stabbed during what had begun as a brief encounter on a Southampton street. The Crown also challenged the allegations that Henry had behaved aggressively or made racist remarks. Jurors also heard evidence concerning the murder weapon and the investigation into what happened after the attack. Throughout the proceedings, the prosecution maintained that the physical evidence, witness testimony, and forensic findings all pointed to the same conclusion. Following their deliberations, the jury returned to court. They found Vickrum Singh Digwa guilty of the murder of Henry Nowak. For Henry's family, the verdict represented the end of months of uncertainty and the beginning of a measure of justice. Digwa's mother, Kiran Kaur, was found guilty of assisting an offender after helping to conceal evidence connected to the crime. The convictions marked the conclusion of one of the most closely watched criminal trials in the United Kingdom that year. But one final stage still remained: sentencing. But the court's decision brought the criminal proceedings to a close. Body-worn video showing Henry being handcuffed while critically injured prompted widespread concern across the country, and led to further examination of police decision-making during the incident. The case also reignited debate surrounding knife crime, public confidence in policing, and the importance of ensuring that rapidly evolving incidents are assessed carefully as evidence emerges. For the University of Southampton community, Henry Nowak is remembered not for the controversy that followed his death, but for the life he was building before it was taken away. His family, friends, and classmates continue to remember an ambitious young man whose future ended far too soon. Justice through the courts cannot replace a son, a friend, or a student, but the conviction and sentence ensure that the person responsible has been held accountable under the law. M.O.R.T.E.M breakdown. Motive: a brief confrontation escalated into a fatal knife attack. The court rejected claims that the victim had been the aggressor, and no wider personal dispute or ideological motive was established. 3 out of 10. Operations: a lone offender carried a concealed knife, carried out a fatal public attack, attempted to shift blame onto the dying victim, and enlisted help to conceal evidence after the murder. 8 out of 10. Reach: the case affected Henry Nowak's family, friends, the University of Southampton community, responding emergency services, and generated widespread national attention due to the controversial police response. 9 out of 10. Terror impact: significant because the victim was a young university student attacked while walking home, and because the initial treatment of the victim by responding officers shocked the public. 9 out of 10. Execution style: multiple stab wounds inflicted during a public street confrontation, followed by attempts to mislead investigators and conceal evidence. 8 out of 10. Mindset: the offender's actions before, during, and after the attack, including falsely accusing the victim and attempting to avoid responsibility, demonstrated a calculated effort to escape accountability. 9 out of 10. This case serves as a reminder of how quickly violence can change lives, and why every stage of a criminal investigation, from the first emergency call to the final court judgment, matters. If you appreciate factual, respectful true crime documentaries that follow real cases from beginning to end, please support M.O.R.T.E.M by liking this video, subscribing, and turning on notifications. Your support allows us to continue documenting important criminal cases with accuracy, respect, and integrity. If there is another case you would like us to investigate, let us know in the comments below. Until next time, remember to stay aware and stay informed.